Yeah, no question. They know it's a great opportunity. It's always a fun game for our players to play in that stadium and then play against a very good Baylor team who's fighting for the same thing we're fighting for.
How much of an extra chip is there on your guy's shoulder knowing that this game is for bowl eligibility?
Yeah, no question. I mean, you want to extend your season, and plus coming off a disappointing performance like last week, want to show how good we are, and that wasn't a representation of our team and our program.
How's Allen been progressing? Is he a full participant in practice?
He is. He's a full participant in practice, but you know, I'm not sure of his status. Just we got to wait and see. It's an internal organ that has to heal, and so we'll just be very cautious with that.
Well, though.
Yeah, I think so. I haven't you know, talked to doctors as far as what's going on internally, but he's practicing full go. He's full speed, and he looks great.
Hey, Coach, I know after the game last week you said you felt the weather didn't play any role in the outcome, and I respect that. But just for clarity's sake, who made the decision to not take the heaters and the jackets, and why?
Yeah, that was you know, my decision. I felt like having the experience we had a couple years ago with the jackets and the heater, we just all kind of huddled around them and weren't into the game. So we decided to go without it this game.
You still feel like it didn't have any out?
Yeah, I don't. I really don't. I mean, we practice in the morning every day outside in very similar temperatures to what that was. And, you know, obviously we didn't play well, and it appeared that way. But, you know, we're out there in those type temperatures executing plays and catching snaps and doing things the right way. So I didn't feel like that was a reason.
You also mentioned earlier in the year that you alluded to last season before the Texas game. That was real pressure for you in the program. Obviously, this is a similar situation. There's a lot of speculation and talk going on around Raiderland. Do you feel pressure? Do you feel like you and the staff are coaching to come back?
Yeah, I like I said, dealt with a lot of that last year, and this year the focus has just been on our team and our program and these seniors. And so that's been my focus this week is, hey, how can we extend this season for these seniors? They deserve to go to a bowl game. It's a very good group that's been through a lot, and so you focus on that and focus on what you control, and so that's kind of where we're at.
And then Jet status, what is his status?
Yeah, we'll see. You know, he's working through a couple injuries. I hope he's available for the game, but I'm not certain yet. That'll be later on in the week.
Thanks.
Kliff, to follow up on the quarterbacks again. So, who actually took the most snaps this morning? Who got the most reps?
McLean.
And what is his sharpness, especially since he didn't look very sharp on Saturday?
Yeah, he didn't, and I think that was probably unfair to me and to him. But at that point, you know, Jet was struggling with some injuries, and it was the right thing to do. And he had just been sitting there, wasn't warm, and his first game action in a while. But you know, he's progressively gotten better with the ankle, and this week I'd say he's as healthy as he's been, and so I don't really have a gauge on how sharp he is just yet. We've only one day into practice, but hopefully by the end of the week he's feeling good.
And saw Jet, of course, playing on Saturday with the knee wrapped. Did he then hurt a foot or an ankle at some point in the game?
Yeah, I mean the knee's banged up, and then you know, he's had some other issues that occurred during the game, and so we're just trying to get him healed up to where he can play his game and move around and make plays and things that he really wasn't able to do on Saturday.
Asking a question for a colleague who's not here today who wanted to ask you about J.D. on high, and I know you've discussed it quite a bit, but what has his progress been like? He seems to think having a second senior year obviously was a huge deal for him. What is his? What do you feel has enabled him to take such a big leap from one year to the next?
I think first off, he's a very persistent, determined young man, and his first couple years here, he played scout team, didn't get many opportunities, and continued to work, continue to fight. We moved him all sorts of different positions. last year he backed up, Kiki Kuti. He was one of the best players to ever play here, and so he just kept his eyes on the prize and stayed focused, and he's made the most of his senior year, this extra year that he was granted, and great role model for our young players in our program, the way he carries himself, the way he treats people, just what you want at Texas Tech.
I know you've said that you were hard on him because you thought he was capable of doing more. Can you elaborate on that or give any examples?
When he first got here, he was just kind of happy to be here. West Texas kid who grew up watching Texas Tech, and it just seemed like he was kind of happy to be a part of this deal and going through the motions. And so I want him to know, hey, man, you have enough to be a real factor here if you'll buy in and work hard and do these things. And so first couple of years, I just stayed on him harder than I am on most, just because I felt like he needed to know this isn't just come along for the ride and be a part of this. This is you can really contribute, and I'm just glad it worked out.
Hi, Coach. After the game, you had a lot of people on social media kind of going directly after the players rather than you or any of the coaching staff. And you had some players responding in various ways. Is that something you speak to the players about as far as how to handle that on social media? Is it to not engage ever, steer clear?
We have social media training. Our group with Matt Dowdy does a tremendous job. But kids are kids, and you tell them not to look at it, not to read it. They're going to look at their mentions, and they're going to see it. And it's human nature to fire back. And so you'd like to stop it all, but that's just kind of the society we're in right now, and emotions get high, and kids respond.
Coach, it seems like finishing on this 4-game winning streak has kind of been one of the issues in Iowa State. Texas, you come all the way back and tie it, but can't quite pull it out. We've asked you about that throughout the season, but what have you seen that's different against, like, whenever you guys went to Stillwater early in the year and, pretty dominant all throughout, you really finished that game out versus what's happened here later in the season?
Yeah, this time of year, you can come up with all sorts of scenarios, but bottom line is we haven't got it done in those games, and so there's no excuses to be made. You just got to find a way with the players you have and the team you have, and it's a good enough team to win those games. And
some of the players mentioned they thought it might have been digging a hole early in the game that you couldn't quite get out of. Obviously, Texas is the best example of that. Have you seen that as one of the issues of why you can't quite pull it out in the end? Is just the hole that was dug earlier in the game? Yeah, I think that's going to happen in our league. You have explosive offenses. You see it every week. Guys get down a bunch and come firing back. I think more than anything, it's just eliminating the foolish penalties and giving free yards. And then offensively, our turnovers have just killed us. And that's something we didn't do last year. And we were really good in turnover margin, and we're not great this year. And that's affected some of those outcomes.
Coach, you'd mentioned Kiki a little bit earlier, and to know that Antwon Wesley is in a position to pass him up in single-season receiving yards. What has Antwon meant to this program?
Yeah, he's been incredible. I've said it all year, but just his preparation, his work ethic through the week, the way he practices, it's what you want those young guys to see. And I was disappointed for him that he wasn't on one of those awards lists, because I think anybody that's watched him play, the type of plays he's made, the consistent level of play against some of the top-tier competition has been really, really impressive. And so just can't say enough good things about his work ethic and what he's doing for us.
Has the current situation with Allen just not being able to be out on the field, has that revealed anything to you about his leadership ability and his character and who he is as a leader for those guys on the sideline? Yeah,
no doubt. And for the other quarterbacks, too. He's the first one to celebrate with these guys when they make plays. He's out here in practice going through the drills and going through, things that he can do, and he brings the juice, brings the energy. He's a great leader for our program, especially as a young guy. It's impressive to watch him do that.
Obviously, you're one of the guys who you're very quick to say, I didn't put a guy in the right position to be successful after a loss. But then obviously a player will say, well, we just didn't execute. So how do you kind of balance, how much of it is?
Yeah, I'm the head coach. That's how I was raised, and that's, my dad was the head coach, and it's my name on the program. It's my program, so I always feel like I can do better, and I can put these guys in better positions to be successful. If they're not, it's my job to find a way to make sure the next time around that they get it done.
What stands out offensively about Baylor this week?
There's skill positions. I think starts with the quarterback. He's really progressed in year 2. Makes a ton of plays off schedule. Tough young man. Have a lot of respect for Brewer and the way he plays the game. and the dynamic wide receivers everywhere, great running backs, really good scheme. They mix it up week in, week out, and so that we're going to have our hands full trying to slow them down.
Flipping the sides of the ball, what have you seen improvements on their defense since last year?
Yeah, I mean, all around, I think talent level, a lot of those guys are back. Their front is playing at a high level, really getting after the quarterback, stopping the run, and Coach Snow has done a tremendous job with his culture. You can see the way they chase the football, they fly around. He's very multiple in his looks, and you can just tell in year 2, those guys are more comfortable playing in that scheme.
Back to their offense, what has Jalen Hurd added to their offense?
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of a do-it-all guy for him. Was a really good player there at Tennessee, and has brought his talents to the Big 12, and he can run it, he can catch it, I mean, he can block, he can do it all, so he's a dynamic player.
Can you speak to them on special teams as well? I mean, I think they have 7 blocks of some sort this year, and how important and crucial, especially coming off last week when you guys let one go against
we got to be on high alert. They got some long guys on some of those punt blocks and field goal blocks, and have really been aggressive coming after it, and I'm sure they'll come after it after last week and us allowing one to be blocked.
I know it's the job, and I know it's next man up and all that stuff, but how do you go from week to week and not get, I guess, off schedule, considering it's a different guy that you're working with every single week? How do you go through that process?
Yeah, you just, beginning of the year you talk about the room, and we make it about the room. And so it's a group effort. I mean, everybody's pushing each other in there to get better. You want to curtail it to whoever's playing that week, whoever's up, and make sure that you have great lines of communication and you're adapting to your guy. And so, it's just part of the deal. It's part of the profession. It's part of the game. It's why it's so much fun, is because guys get hurt, and it's a challenge to get the next guy ready and playing at the same level.
What's the fun part for you right now then?
The fun part?
Yeah.
I mean, all of it. I mean, I get to coach at Texas Tech, where I went to school, and watch these guys battle their tails off each and every week. No matter what the adversity is, this team has responded and shown up, and I expect to see the same on Saturday.
Cold part of last week, just the fact that that's your side of the ball and it wasn't going. I know there were injury issues and everything, but just for you personally, did that one hurt more than most losses?
Yeah, they all hurt. I think just that we didn't do what we've done all year offensively, which was, put our best foot forward and play hard and physical, and that show up on tape. They took it to us. We didn't respond. We didn't make plays, turn the ball over, drop the snaps. I mean, just stuff that wasn't typical of our offense and who we are as a program. And so that happens. You have bad games in your season, and it's just how you respond.
You've liked this series at Jerry World, but I mean, when it comes back to a home and home, are you in favor of that? What have you liked about Jerry World, and what are the
I like it for our players. We have a lot of players in the DFW area, and so they can go home, see their friends, see their family, have them watch them play, and it's easy for those guys. And then what an incredible opportunity as a college player to get to play in one of the finest stadiums in the world. So it's all about the players in that regard. It's a good showcase for Texas Tech to have our imprint in Dallas and have that game advertised, but more than anything, just the player experience.
Talking about turnovers, you were saying that's the #1 priority on Sunday night, that to protect the football. How does that change? Like, how do you address that in practice with players, or if it affects play calling or anything along those lines?
Yeah, you don't want it to affect your play calling, because then you're not cutting it loose and you're not calling it like you'd call it. You want to make sure you've coached well enough during the week that they understand, at my position, what limits to push and what you can get away with. And so during the week, you just teach it. You show a bunch of film, talk through it. If they make a mistake, make sure that it's not turning the ball over.
Hey, Coach, earlier in the year against like Houston, Oklahoma State, the running game really put them away. I mean, y'all were leaning on teams. It seems like that going away has coincided with the losing streak. How do you turn that around? How do you get this, especially with all the injury situation of the quarterback, how do you get this running game going?
Yeah, that's a great question. You got to have teams respect your passing game, which opens some of that stuff up early, and we've struggled. Moving people, we've struggled in some of the pass game, more so than we were when we were rolling early. So I think more than anything, that's what we got to do. We got to execute at a higher level all around the pass game, spread people out, and then that run game becomes more of a threat.
Kliff, clarify what you were saying earlier about Allen. You said he was full go out there in practice, which, of course, in practice he's wearing a blue jersey and he's non-contact. Has he been cleared for contact or not?
He has not been cleared for contact. I'm just health-wise, football player-wise, he could go out there and compete. It's just internally we want to make sure that he's healed and the lung is where it needs to be, and don't want to put him back out there with any chance of a higher percentage of injury.
Have you gotten any indication that clearance could come on Wednesday or Thursday or Friday?
Not yet. We're still working through that process.
And the other night that guys like Colt Garrett and Gerber have to be ready. If we should see Colt on Saturday, what has his progress been like, and what would you tell people who have not seen him or know much about the program? What would you say to look for with Colt Garrett?
Yeah, I think just from day one as a freshman to now, I mean, it's night and day, the type of player he is. Wants to be a coach, works really hard at the X's and O's aspect of it, great leader, one of the hardest working players on our team. And, I think he can execute at a level that we can move the football and score points. And so he's got to get in there. He has the knowledge, just got to get in there, get the reps, and see what he can do.
And to follow up on something Jared had asked you earlier, after the Oklahoma State game, I remember asking you if you felt like, based on the way the schedule is set up, I asked you if you felt like that was a must-win game, and you kind of jokingly said, no, that one at the end of last year was a must-win game. From your personal standpoint, is this one a must-win game, do you think?
Yeah, I'm not sure. As like I said, I really tried to focus this entire season on the team and program and not get caught up in anything I can't control. So I want this really bad for the seniors to extend their season, be around them for another month, and so that's been my focus 100%, and that's been the staff's focus as well.
Coach, you can learn a lot about losses, and at Kansas State, you put a lot of it on your shoulders, but there were players like Travis Bruffy and Eli Howard who kind of stood up and said, no, this is on the players. Despite, I get this is a business that's run by wins, but do you value or even see the honorable part that you are teaching young men integrity?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I love this profession. That's why I coach at the college level, is because you can impact those young men and try to teach them things that have helped you in your life. And so those are two great representatives for Texas Tech. They were raised incredibly well before they got here, but if they can take anything away from us and go out into society and be great representatives for Texas Tech and great human beings, then you definitely feel a sense of accomplishment.
Getting back to work, trying to continue our season, win this week, and get that extra month for bowl.
Is there a sense with the team that you're playing for more than a bowl, maybe playing for the coaching staff?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely are playing for our coaches for sure. We love them. They put so much into us, so we definitely want to show them that we care and that we will fight for them.
As far as this Baylor team, what do they do good offensively, and what have you seen from Charlie Brewer? Not necessarily just as much as a passer, as a runner.
He can be elusive at times and make plays with his feet. He can throw attack through the air, and then they can mix a good run game with it too. So it's going to be a good challenge for us this week.
Can you speak to Jalen Hurd as well, their wide receiver / running back / everything guy?
Yes, sir. He's very talented, and we've seen some of the stuff he does on film, so we're going to have to try to contain their big plays and stop what they're doing.
Rico, when this team late in games, when you guys have to get that stop, it seems like recently it's just you guys have just been just short of getting those wins. What does it take late in games that's different than throughout a game to get the stops and get that win for the team?
I mean, we just have to continue to fight as a team and execute our jobs specifically, and hopefully that will get us the win that we need.
Being in a must-win, pressure-packed situation this year, similar to last year, do you learn anything from last year, take away anything on how to kind of handle that pressure that you can establish this year?
We just take it week by week. I mean, we know it's win or go home, and we're going to leave it all out there for our brothers, our seniors, and our coaches.
Rico, How much has it helped you over this past month that you have all the playing time that you have gotten? Because for much of the last year, people have asked when you were going to get to play more, and obviously you had a couple of guys in front of you, and then you had you're pressed into service when Jordan got ejected, and then pressed into service again immediately afterward when Dakota got hurt. How much do you feel like you've progressed over this past month with the reps that you've gotten?
Well, I mean, I feel like I've progressed a good amount throughout the year, and then plus having Jordan and Dakota be able to mentor me and lead me on the right path. So I think I've made steps, but there's still room for improvement.
Rico, I'd asked Coach Kingsbury about how sometimes fans get a little too carried away on social media after the games, after a big loss like last weekend, going after players directly rather than the coaches or something else. And he had talked a little bit about training they do with y'all. How do you handle that? Do you just tune it out? Do you steer clear of social media?
Just tune it out. I mean, it's really about us, and we're just fighting as a team, as a family, and we know that we're trying to do what's best for us and have each other's back and bring success to our program.